Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of the Devlog series for Arkhive. This week's episode is going to be quite important, as I'll be shortly explaining and revealing what the game actually is. We also have some things to show you from our production team this week. Nothing too crazy just yet, as we're still in early production, but we're still really excited to show you our current progress. So let's not waste any time and answer the question, what is Arkhive? So Arkhive will be a 2D Metroidvania shooter set on a massive passenger spaceship called the Olympus. And just to quickly clarify the term, a Metroidvania is a game genre that involves exploration and discovery, and usually requiring the player to backtrack using the abilities that they unlock over time. So this ship has recently sent out a distress signal, and your team Talon Squad has been tasked with investigating why that signal was sent out. So for those that don't know already, this is a university group project and part of our final units of our bachelor degree. Due to this, we are on a limited time frame of roughly 13 weeks, so the project won't be extremely massive. Think of it more as like a 10 to 15 minute demo of what the game could be. The coolest part is though, if this project is successful and we get enough of a following of it, we could potentially take it further into full development and make a full larger title. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. We have a lot of work to do as it is. Let's show you what we've been working on this week.
Hey guys, Josh here with updates on the level design for Arkhive. This past week, I've been focused on planning, documentation, and research to figure out how the level will fit around the narrative and our game mechanics. With Arkhive being a Metroidvania game, I needed to encourage the player to explore and make use of their movement to traverse the environment in different ways. The Olympus had 2 areas where the player unlocked new movement mechanics, so these areas would need to encourage the player to make use of those mechanics somehow. There was also a central area that the player would be traversing through multiple times, each time having access to different movement options and thus needing the area to feel different to travel through. For each area, I also came up with a bit of lore, visual themes, and mechanical ideas. For example, the Biogardens is a lush green dome where food was mainly produced, but was also where much of the fighting took place between the residents of the Olympus and the Alvirium. A giant tree stands in the center, giving the area a vertical feel for platforming. The player will learn to traverse this area using a new tool, whilst also learning what took place through environmental storytelling and whilst hunting for collectibles. We are almost at the point where we can start building the levels for testing. So the next step is to figure out what exactly will make up the structure of each level and how the player's movement will work around this.
Hey gang, I just wanted to give a quick update on what I've been working on this week for Arkhive. Quick hint, this has been my best friend, and funnily enough, this has also been my best friend. It's my vacuum. So I've been working on recording my own samples from absolute scratch instead of using samples from a sound library and manipulating them further, which is still completely fine. It's complete industry practice as well. But to be more creative and to get more unique sounds, recording them from scratch or using a synth is a really great option. I've been really enjoying the things that I've been coming up with. Fun fact about the vacuum, super useful for sci-fi and ship noises, either like powering up, powering down. If you think of like electronic sliding doors, like that kind of vibe. So that's been really cool. I would like to further work on space ambience from scratch. So what I did was import a reference track of spaceship ambience and just kept playing around with my own sounds until I got it to sound almost identical to that, with its own flair, of course. Next week, I plan on tackling weapons, reloading sound effects, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's a pretty prominent part of Arkhive, so getting a kind of head start on all of the weapons is what I plan to do moving forward. I would also like to finish the space ambience and create a few different ones for the different scenes. Thanks for listening to my update, and I can't wait to fill you guys in on everything moving forward. Bye.
Hey guys, this week unfortunately I got tied up with work and other stuff, so a bit of a poor effort from me this week, but I promised to up my content and quality for next week's dev. This week, however, I was assigned to work on a quick placeholder of a main menu for the game. I just set up just a couple of panels, couple of interface and a little bit of back programming just so that the designers can, once they're done with their art, chuck it in and they can take it from there. So the title, simple. The designers will work on it. New game. As you can see, it glows up when you mouse over it. You click new game, a pop-up comes up. The main menu is not important just yet. The bulk of the game needs to be programmed first, and then UI and main menus afterwards. So after I was done with the main menu placeholder for the game, I started to work on our weapon system. With the weapons, I needed to create a simple weapon switching system so that the players can toggle between weapons using the number keys. Some of the things I needed to consider was how I was going to implement damage in the game. I was tossing up between whether I should let the gun or the bullet decide the amount of damage the enemies take. If I went with the bullet route, it would mean that I would have to create different bullet prefabs for different types of guns. Or if I went with the gun route, it would mean that the bullet would have to know what gun fired that particular bullet, and then the damage of that bullet would change depending. I think that was a bit iffy. It didn't sound right at the time, so I went with just a different bullet prefabs. It sounded much simpler. It probably more modularized as well. So this is what I ended up with. So I press 1, 2, 3. It changes the weapons. Press 1. It changes the bullet to the rifle. Change the bullet again. Change the bullet again, and they all have different damages. And then I also have a test dummy that shows damage, pretty much how it's getting hurt and stuff like that. And that is it for me, guys. Next week I will have the weapon system up and running. I need to work with Luke actually so that I can get the weapons onto the actual player in the game, and then I will also be working on the first enemy AI for the game, at least the grunt enemy, so that we can get some playtesting done. See you next week. Peace.